It's Monday, July 18th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, facial recognition technology and the Federated cloud.
Let's do this.
So, now that I've given notice, I can actually talk about this among people other than close friends, but I got a new job.
When I think I've said this before many times, but it's like when I was a kid, I used to look at like old people who had jobs and kept changing them all the time to be like, what's wrong with those people? Why can't they just keep their job? What's wrong with them? But now
I never thought that as a kid.
I thought that, and now that I'm like, whatever, it's like I've changed jobs a bunch.
I mean, as a kid, I was the opposite. I thought, man, how could you do the same thing for more than like a year?
And now it's just like, yeah, get bored of pretty much any job after a few years.
RIT just ruined me, that quarter system. I got so in tune to 10 weeks, something new. Plus the 2-week break that it's kind of hard to get back into working one thing for more than a year, let alone...
I think it's just, you need a change of scenery. And it's like it could be at the same job, but usually the same job doesn't change or move quickly enough.
It depends. I've had rapidly changing jobs, but in this case, I've actually worked where I was working as of today when I gave notice that almost 4 years. That's the longest I've ever held a job in my entire life by far.
Yeah, I think I'm almost 3 years. I'm be approaching a nexus soon. The sandworm will appear.
Yep.
We'll see what happens if the alliances are made or broken or changed in any way.
My Nexus came and went, and I am now the vice president of product management for a different company.
Yeah, but how many people are in this company?
Enough. I'll talk about it more.
It's a small company, so it's not like you're vice president of IBM. It's like you're vice president.
IBM has a lot of vice presidents.
This is like one room full of people you're vice president of.
Yeah, but
there's other vice presidents.
I actually don't know who the other ones are, if there are any.
And how many presidents are there?
One.
So there's only one person in the whole company above you.
Well, I report directly to the CEO.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But when how many people are underneath the CEO? Like 20?
Well, I'll talk about that more once it's all get situated. But basically, this is pretty much the biggest job I've ever had, and it's one of those things.
Well, every job that's new is the biggest job you ever had. If you go to a smaller...
No. When I worked at the hospital, that was far less of a big job than IBM.
Really? You downgraded?
No, it wasn't as...
Wasn't it more monies?
It was more money.
Well, then it was a bigger job.
Nah, because money isn't really what drives me.
But I didn't say it was to drive you. It's bigger.
Well, I wouldn't say that's bigger. I could have made more money. I had job offers at other places, hospitals and things. I could have made boatloads more money. This job just looks more fun.
Well, I mean, if you're making enough money, you're obviously going to go to the fun place.
I'm already making more money than I need, so... So yeah, I got a big career change, and pretty much it's all on me. So if I cock anything up, there's nobody to blame but me.
Yeah, it's not... If you're a vice president, it's not like there's the usual troubles of, like, bureaucracy and shit getting in the way if the company is small.
Yeah, even if it's big, if you're like you're a senior enough VP, you can get stuff done. The VP of like the technology group at IBM could pretty much get what she wanted and get what she needed.
It's like in RoboCop, right? There's all the there's the one VP who's in charge of the Robotech project, and there's the other guy who's in charge of the other robot thing.
All right, you watched RoboCop again recently. I've not yet.
All the RoboCop.
Emily hasn't seen RoboCop. We got to pick a night to watch it.
I'm not watching it again. It's good though.
We'll just watch it. You don't have to watch it.
Nerd note, RoboCop, written by Frank Miller.
Huh.
Yes, that Frank Miller, as in Sparta. And, what's it called?
Verhoeven?
No, goddamn Batman.
No. Anyway, so there's kind of, it's not big news, but it's news that Scott and I saw independently and had a lot to say about right away. This is yours.
Oh, why are you introducing my news? You're confusing me. I thought you were stealing my news for a second. I was like, you stealing my news?
No, I let Scott have it.
What the fuck? So if you don't know, when Obama was elected president, for the first time ever, he appointed a federal CIO, which is a chief information officer, which is not the same thing as a CTO, but sort of. And basically his job was not clearly defined so much, but his name was Vivek Kundra, by the way. And he had to oversee, I think it was $80 billion in like federal spending on technology stuffs, right? So he is leaving his job in mid-August. So now that he's leaving, much like Rim, he's got stuff to say about the job he's leaving, as people do. So pretty much the two things, the two big things that he had to say. One was that, he's all for like data openness, right? We all want government data to be open, but there's concerns obviously about security, like real security, not the issue of stuff is confidential for no reason, but, issues like, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, should we release this data? And they actually discussed it, for serious. And it's like, this is difficult.
Well, as opposed, to just joking about it and then like flipping a coin.
Yeah, exactly. And then, there's also issues of, the government knows combining databases, especially if you combine the federal databases with, say, public information on Facebook and such, that's not so good for privacy. And while I don't believe in privacy,
I'm not going to say I don't believe in privacy, but I do not agree that there's any real ethical argument you can make against taking publicly available information and aggregating it.
Right, but the question is, should you even don't make the data publicly available in the first place? And then the question is, this information's not publicly available, but it is government available. So if the government takes the publicly available information and combines it with the secret government information that is not public, right? Now suddenly the government has now added information that, perhaps under other circumstances it would have needed to warrant.
But at the same time, that information was also available to average citizens.
No, it wasn't.
The public information was.
Because half of the information was, government information that was in government databases that was not publicly available.
But at the same time, that information, if they already have it, they already have it.
Right, but then
even if they already have it, there are often evidential rules about whether or not it's admissible in court or something.
But anyway, that was one of his concerns, was the opening of data and those
we could
things.
do a show on that, maybe.
I don't know. But anyway, his other main concern, which is I think more interesting, right, is pretty much the airport food situation.
I was going to use the airport food situation as the example for this.
Because that's the story everyone tells. I wish I would have remembered where I first heard that story, because I keep reusing that metaphor. But basically, people don't know. You ever go to an airport and there's restaurants in the airport, right? But how come the restaurants in the airport aren't like McDonald's or TGI Fridays?
They're always like weird things you've never heard of, or like Sbarro's.
Yeah, I've never seen a Sbarro's.
I've seen Sbarro's.
The Charlotte Airport is actually also a mall, much like in Boston, the Heinz Convention Center is also a mall.
Yep.
But the mall is actually sort of separated from the airport. It's not in the airport, right? But they're like the same building, kind of. So it's like you can leave, go through security, go into the mall, come back, go through security, and so there's a mall food court out there. But most airports are on their own. So if you go to O'Hare in Chicago, right, what restaurants are in there? It's not normal restaurants you've heard of. It's weird ones. So how do those weird restaurants end up in there? Why aren't there normal restaurants people have heard of in there? Why isn't there a Capitol Grill in the airport, right? Instead, it's like New York strip something that you never heard of. It's made up. It's only in that airport. The reason is the companies that know how to manage the bureaucracy of the TSA and, the other, federal agencies involved in airports to get their restaurant in there are the ones that get in there. It's not based on food quality or anything like that.
It's just if the primary skill is I'm good at navigating the bureaucracy,
right? So
my restaurant's in.
Whatever food service company knows how to do that paperwork is the food service company that's going to get those restaurants and make that money. So his other major complaint besides the data openness was that in technology in the federal government, it's much the same way, right? Is that they put out to, procure technology for the federal government, and there's only a few people who know how to put in bids and deal with that bullshit. And they're not very good. They're really shitty tech companies, but they basically have permanent, they're basically permanently employed by the federal government because they're the only people who know how to do this.
I mean, think about how easy it would be for this to happen. One, a lot of people in the government don't know, like, really what's up technology-wise.
Yep.
Two, a limited number of bids come in because all the IBM doesn't know how to navigate this, maybe, just to make up an example.
Yeah.
Or at least
IBM is probably the ones who does.
But like other big tech companies are not. I mean, Microsoft probably by default people have to use Windows for stuff. But
yep.
I mean, if you need a guy to like set up routers or like pull cables or something, how many companies that do that are gonna apply to these bids to get those jobs?
Yeah. The other problem that the related problem is that there isn't like a technology committee in Congress or anything like that, right? Technology is done very vertically inside of each little division. So the government, has, there's a number here. It's like tons and tons of separate data centers and racks, because basically every little government division has its own technology budget and spending that it decides how to spend its technology and what to buy. So everyone has their own different systems. It's like where the NOAA has a website, and then the FTC has a website, and the FBI has a website, and they're all separate part of the budgets for the individual federal agencies.
And no individual department would ever, of their own volition, give up their power over that tiny domain, even though economy of scale would save the government millions.
Right. So he says, look, the whole government could have 3 data centers, right? Probably because you want to have East Coast, West Coast, and middle, and also safety of redundancy.
Real data centers have the concept of cages. So you have one data center, economy of scale, and then one department, say, it has a cage, a steel physical cage around its like 10 racks.
Right, but what he's saying is that there should be standardization, right? So someone needs to spend the technology money horizontally across departments and not within each department. So there should be one group that's the technology group that's like, we're going to make everyone's website, and we're all going to make all the websites the same way for every federal thing. There isn't going to be separate websites and separate servers for everyone. We're making the federal website system, period, for everybody, right? And you're all going to go into it. It's going to be a standard thing.
That way, when LulzSec hacks it, they'll get everything.
But that way, technology people will be in charge of it, and LulzSec won't get in.
The thing is, will they really be?
If they get the other component of real technology companies with quality technology know how to make bids, as opposed to those people who got hacked by LulzSec making the bids, right? Then, the technology will be good.
The process is just bad for getting government work, and I don't know what to do
and
about it.
It's also even if you could get a bid in, it's potentially corrupt, right? Like I might be able to put in a low bid and have better technology than the other bidders. But if the guy who's deciding doesn't know who I am and he likes the other guy...
There are places in government...
Where there's no corruption?
Where there are laws saying that if you take bids, you must take the lowest bid.
Yeah, but there's pros and cons. You can't just take the lowest because some guy just puts in $1 and he shows up with a power book.
That's what I'm saying. The problem with laws like that is that the lowest bidder is often not exactly who you want to be handling your important data.
Right, but the point is, I feel like if I could just find someone or do research and figure out how to submit this paperwork, I could probably do better technology than a lot of these pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, but you got to get a bunch of people to work for you and actually do it. Or, you want to move down to D.C. and, pull cables? Yeah,
that's the other problem. You got to go to D.C. and do it. You can't do it in New York. But maybe I could do it for New York State or the city, right? Like, I could send in bids to figure out how to get New York City tech contracts or New York State tech contracts.
All right, so here's the thing. This is much like people who become businessmen have a certain acumen, and they're good at or want to do or whatever reason. Do you want to turn your life into filing paperwork that you hate to people you don't care about?
No, I get someone else to do the paperwork. I just want to get paid with tax money.
Everybody who is good at technology has the same idea you do. Who are you going to find who will do that paperwork?
There has to be someone who knows how to do it. Maybe I'll just go to the companies that are doing it now, find the guy who's doing it now, and just say, hey, come work in this cool tech company in New York instead of for this permanently employed, crappy, boring tech company in D.C.
You gonna do that?
I gotta find who the person is.
You gonna start this company? Is this something you're planning to do?
If I ever meet one of these people, I'll know what to do.
Punch him in the dick.
Punch him in the dick.
I don't know what to do about it. I feel like as much as I could be cynical and complain and say, yeah, well, even if they standardize it, it'll still be a corrupt morass.
I think there is an easy way.
It would be better than the current system.
Well, I think there's the one thing that needs to change, right, is that the government, when government wants to spend money, it puts out a call. And it's like, who wants to do this? And then people say, I'll do it. And then they pick someone, right? Why doesn't the government instead go shopping, right? It should go out and say, hey, Google, can you do this? Hey, Microsoft, can you do this?
Some government contracts do go that way.
Do they? But how does that... the thing is, I see while that could work better if the person doing the shopping is doing it well, like they're going at Amazon and picking the thing with the 5 stars like I do, or going to Newegg.
Yeah, because Amazon and Newegg are where the government's going to get its stuff.
But I'm just saying, or is that person who's going shopping just going, hey, best friend, you want to do this? Okay. Corruption, whatever.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens all the time. But at least sometimes people do actually get fucked for that. The governor of Connecticut went to jail.
Yeah.
Of course, he went to easy jail for like a year, and he's out now, and now he's making money again. But it's still, I think it should be permanent jail. I think, corruption in the government should be much more serious.
Well, I
it
think
could be treason.
To back up a little bit,
You
I
tried
think
to fuck the U.S. government, jail forever.
if we want to talk about a root problem, I mean, look, we've got the airport. It's just that there's bureaucracy, navigation.
Exile. You fucked with the government. You tried to ruin the U.S.
Is a very important skill.
Exile.
That determines a lot of the future for a lot of things.
Yep.
I mean, look at law. Look at the bureaucracy you have to go through to, like, if you're involved in a court case, like all this kind of stuff. You get a lawyer to navigate it for you. There are whole, like, seas of information that normal people basically can't navigate on their own.
Do we exile people anymore at all?
No, we don't exile people.
Is that cruel and unusual, or do we
I
just
don't
do
know.
it?
Where are we going to exile them to?
I don't.
Belgium?
That's
Like,
their fucking problem. It's exile.
usually you're exiled to a place, and Elba would get pretty crowded pretty quickly.
Where's Elba?
You ever heard of a guy named Napoleon Bonaparte?
Yeah.
What happened to him after the Napoleonic Wars
He
ended?
was
and he
exiled
lost?
to a tiny island. Was it named Elba?
Maybe.
Okay. It's like south of Spain, right? In
So-
the Mediterranean?
Google.
I thought it was called something else.
Well, you realize he was exiled to 2 different islands because when he was exiled to his first island, right? He eventually escaped,
I know that.
went back to France, fucked shit up again, and when they beat him again, they sent him to a further away, shittier island.
I did not know that. I thought
And he
I
died on that
So
island.
what was the name of the first island?
You can look this up.
I think you don't know.
So,
If I hear it, I would know it. Because I am like...
So Google, right? Usually when they do stuff, I'm like, hells yeah. But it's easy to forget the things Google does that didn't work out so well. I mean, Wave did not quite work out the way we all wanted.
The Apache Foundation has it. You can still get it.
Yeah, it's not who's doing anything with it.
I'm going to actually try to see if I can do something with it and just a little bit.
Just wait. All the stuff that it did that mattered will be in G+.
Exiled him to the island of Elba. St. Helena.
Yeah.
He was exiled the second time.
Do you know how he died on the second island?
Just disease, right?
We don't know. There was arsenic in the paint and all sorts of crazy stuff about that.
Recently arrived, could only recommend palliatives. He died 2 days later after confession. What do you have to confess to?
Christian stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
That kind of kid. I thought he confessed like,
I'm sorry I started a
I
whole bunch of
killed
wars.
Dr. Lucky.
I've got that game laying around somewhere.
I have that game.
I think I have one too. Because
Hey.
they were what, like $1? So Google has something called badges. Badges for Google News.
Google News?
Yeah, so here's the deal.
Google News badges?
So
what?
you read
I could understand Google Plus badges like achievements for like posting 10
this
pictures.
is achievements for news. You can work your way up from bronze to silver, gold, platinum, and finally, ultimate.
How does this fucking work?
So, you read articles on Google News about Topic X, and you start acquiring badges in Topic X, eventually branding you as an ultimate in Topic X. So if I read a whole bunch of articles on Casey Anthony, I'll get a badge saying that I read a whole bunch of articles on Casey Anthony.
Why would they want to encourage you to read a bunch of articles about the same thing as opposed to encouraging you to read a bunch of articles about a bunch of different
Well,
things?
if you do that, you'll get a whole bunch of different badges and level them all up.
Well, but they'll all be low level because you won't read you won't read 20 articles about F1. You read one.
Maybe you'll read a whole bunch, but here's the deal. They're private by default, but they're there and already on if you have Google Web History set up.
Let me check this.
But now it might not work for you because you with apps don't have Google profiles yet.
I don't see anything about badges on my Google News.
Yeah, because you probably don't have it.
Okay.
We're Google Apps. We're second-class citizens.
That's right.
So you can choose to share the badges and make them public.
All right. What's the point of this? I read more news than you?
They don't have a stated point, but I can't
You can
see.
all my friends know what news I'm informed about?
No, they do let you hide specific badges because I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of surprisingly pornographic badges.
Hey, Scott, I see you read a whole bunch of stories about
My Little Pony.
the Yankees. I thought you were a Mets fan.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
yeah, I was reading how they suck.
Kind of like how in Latitude you can delete times you can't like add, but you can delete stuff from your history. If you want to be like, yeah, I don't want anyone to know I was at Scandals, I'm just going to delete that. That's fine.
All right.
My phone was off around that time. I don't know. I don't know why Google did this. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish.
It sounds like someone is just doing nothing.
It might be someone's internal project that they were like, oh, that's cool, let's turn it on. But it seems like this is the kind of mechanism design that leads toward disaster.
Yeah.
Because it encourages people to game a system and to just click on news articles.
Pretty much people are
up.
going to go to Google News and they're just going to click on a ton of articles. How does it know if you actually read them? Just if you visited them?
I have no idea. I didn't really dig into this that much.
But actually, in a way, right? That actually...
It helps Google out in one angle.
Yeah,
because
if people just click on a whole bunch of news articles to get these badges...
Google's getting a lot of traffic referrals to those newspapers.
Exactly. Those
and then
newspapers
Google
will
them
think
and say, look,
Google News is pretty great.
But at the same time, that's evil mechanism design,
Because the
Google.
people didn't really read those articles
Google.
or look at the ads on those newspaper
Google,
pages.
that's evil. This is evil.
Sort of evil.
It is not a good thing.
They're
You shouldn't
basically
do it.
doing click fraud against other... Semi-click fraud against other newspapers when they fight so hard to prevent people from doing click fraud against them. That is, if not evil, hypocritical.
Well, the interesting thing is if you forget those, arguments against it, there's also the problem that this is yet one more, and it's Google and the internet are kind of pushing people toward, if you want to, you can basically shut out all information that doesn't agree with your worldview and focus your entire world around the bullshit that you believe, whether or not it's true.
You know what Google could do? Here's what they could do.
What could they do?
Instead of doing it badges like this, they should make a news game, and the news game works like this.
You've got to answer questions and prove that you know
Exactly.
shit.
It goes down the top news stories, and it makes you read like 2 or 3 articles about every news story from, regular sources and also highbrow sources and lowbrow sources of all shapes and sizes, from all sorts of crazy conspiracy nuts to, highly educated papers that are pages long, everything. And then asks you questions and gives you badges for answering, there's some will be factual, so you'll get your badges based on the factual questions, but also ask you other questions that are sort of, interpreted.
Market research.
Yeah, and use that data to, to gauge the public opinion.
Even
to
further,
compete with, say, Gallup poll, right? They could be like, Google knows that X% of Americans think
Rainbow Dash is the best.
Of course, best pony, Rainbow Dash.
Now, another way they could go with these badges is if the Google project, like the Cool Technology Project, come up with a system that will read the news from Google News internally and automatically generate the questions and the answers.
Well, that's definitely the kind of thing Google can do.
Yes.
That's definitely within their skills.
I don't know. People have accused me a couple of times in the past of being kind of overtly pro-Google, and a lot of techie people accuse people of that sort of thing all the time. So right here, I'm pointing out Google did some evil. This is bad.
It's not the biggest evil, right? But it's, they did pull out of China. But it is not good.
It's not looking so good.
It's not a good thing. They should get rid of the stupid badges.
Or they should do what we just said, which is much better.
Well, it's also sort of evil, right? Suddenly Google knows that like X% of Mets fans are, Jews or whatever.
How is that evil? To reveal factual aggregated information.
Because now it's evil in the same way that, say, right, how would Wikipedia be if Wikipedia was for profit? It's basically making money off the backs of people's work, right? So, who unpaid employees. So when Google takes data generated by you, who is just, having fun on the internet and uses that for profit, it's evil in the same way a for-profit Wikipedia would be for evil.
But at the same time, the amount of work you're providing is voluntary and so trivial that it's worth 0 in and of itself.
Yeah, but this is why I have less of a problem with, say, Mechanical Turk, even though most of it is spam, because they're at least paying you 1 cent for your tiny contribution to the data.
Well, here they pay you with badges.
That's not
and
payment.
Then maybe they could set it up with Steam. You can convert the badges into hats.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now, when you want me to go and start the company that gets government contracts, well, when I find the person who knows how to do that paperwork, I'm just going to pay him in badges, and I'll be all set.
You pay him in badges. I'll pay him in bitcoins.
I'll take all the tax monies from the state, fill my wallet, use it to buy badges, and give that to give that to the employees, because that'll feed them.
Things of the day. So when I was a kid, watch a show called Mask, M.A.S.K.
And it stands for?
It stands for, I forget, actually.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna be honest, right? I watched a lot of 80s shows, but I guess Mask wasn't on in my area, so I never actually heard of it until I was in college and you remembered it.
Yeah. Well, when I was little, was obsessed with it, partly because the show I found on YouTube, here's the first episode. I gotta watch it to see how well it holds up.
Not
for
well.
real. Probably not that well.
Bad.
It's animated surprisingly better than I expected.
Slightly
though.
better.
Like it's pretty good animation for
That
the
just
time.
has to do with when it was later 80s, right? Not early. Yeah.
Also,
so.
it was it was higher budget than you'd think, and there were comics and everything. But say
there
what
were
you
comics
will.
and toys.
Say what you will about the respective merits of Mask and say Transformers. Mask toys kick the shit out of Transformers in terms of playability as a kid.
I don't know. It depends on the
Mask toys were
Transformers.
so high quality. Oh my god.
It's the Mobile Armored Strike Command, by the way.
Nah.
Command.
I
with a
had
K.
almost every single toy. I had Boulder Hill. I had
Yeah.
everything.
I might have seen some Mask toys in my youth, but like I didn't know they were Mask because the show was never on my TV. But yeah. So what's your thing of the day?
My thing of the day is
I
on
was
YouTube.
just about to steal it from you by accident.
We'll see whenever this gets taken down, but it's the opening theme to Mask and then the entire first season, first episode.
Oh, that's your thing of the day?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not going to talk about the entire Mask collection on DVD, pre-order on Amazon for $60?
Which is, in fact, what prompted me to make this my thing of the day.
See, this is what I understand. Transformers, I bought the Transformers Season 1 DVD box set, right? And that was it.
Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. But why didn't they just release all of Transformers in one box, period? I
you wanna
know
know
there's
why?
a lot of episodes.
You want to know why? They can make more money doing it this way.
And the Ninja Turtles is even worse. You saw that on
Yeah.
But Masks, they did it right. All of Mask, period. Every single episode
You know
ever,
why they did it that way,
one
right?
box.
They did it that way because Mask is not super well known or popular.
I don't think it's going to hold up. I think it's going to be awful.
Yeah, but the animation is so much better than similar shows, and the toys were so good. I kind of want the toys now.
Anyway, so
I would play with them.
So one of our listeners tweeted this at me, my thing of the day here.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, but let me tell you. So I bought an SSD for my real computer because I was having some problems with the disk being real slow and really slowing me down big time.
Solid state drive for you kids.
Yeah, so I bought a solid state drive, and because, right, I was so smart, and you don't know this, in Windows, if you go into your user folders, you just double-click on the folder that has your name on it, that's on the desktop usually, and all your other folders are inside of it, like my videos, my music, my documents, right? All those are folders in your user folder. If you right-click on, say, for example, your My Documents folder and go to Properties, there'll be a tab that says Location. So let's say you have one hard drive in your computer, everything is on C. Right? Unless you made partitions.
Yep.
But partitions are so old school because drives are so cheap. So, of course, you have 2 or 3 drives, right? So now you got 2 drives, C and D. Let's say you want to move My Documents to D. You can just right-click on My Documents, go to Location, and change it to D:\documents and push OK. It'll move your My Documents folder to the other drive, but you'll still access it from that same place.
So it's transparent. I mean, I did that when I first built my computer.
Yeah,
'Cause I bought a 32 gigabyte SSD.
So you can move all of those folders. I moved every single one of them.
I did as well.
To another hard drive, and the only thing that will be on the C drive will be Windows itself and all the programs that you install. So Firefox.
Now,
and
what I did very easily, because I built my computer from the beginning with an SSD like that, is I just let the few things that are fucked up and can't deal with another drive letter be on my SSD. It didn't hurt anything. And I just made, because I got the E drive program files. I just installed everything there.
You moved program files to a different drive, huh?
Yep.
So the thing with that is program files in a different drive is well and good. But it has
haven't been to Pirate Universe.
It has one flaw in that one of the major advantages of the SSD, right, is the speed increase from loading applications when you start them up.
But
So
I could
if
not
you're-
do that because I only had a 32 gigabyte SSD.
I bought a 128 gigabyte SSD.
That would not have been worth the money when I built my computer.
It was $200-something. In fact, nowadays, if I was building a brand new computer, I would get 2 of those bitches and combine them into a single logical drive.
I'm building a new HTPC. What I'm thinking about
You don't
doing,
need an SSD for that.
No. What I'm thinking about doing is buying a 128 gigabyte SSD and putting it in my current real computer. So I
put
can
the
put more stuff
32
on it.
gig in the HTPC and
Yup.
no other storage because it
Yup.
gets everything it needs from a NAS.
Because it doesn't need a big hard drive. I'm not going to buy an SSD.
It's just going to
for
get all
it.
its media from the NAS.
But the 32 gig SSD is useless to me if I take it out of my current computer. So,
Exactly. So anyway,
that's my plan.
So, of course, I have 128 gigs, so I want to leave as many program files as possible on that SSD until it gets full, obviously, because that way they'll start up faster. If I start Firefox, it'll just start right up. But if Firefox is on another drive, well, that's right. But the problem is, even 128 gigs, even 256 gigs, if I were to get two of them and combine them, is not enough if you have Steam with a zillion games. It is not big enough to hold all those games.
Back to the old days. I remember on the top of our giant computer desk, there was just every game box. And when I wanted to play a game, I'd be like, all right, what am I going to uninstall?
I need at least a 500 gig drive to install all the Steam games.
So,
right?
Scott, get like 4 SSDs. And then
that is so much money, it's not worth it. So, of course, the Steam games I play often, I would like to leave those on the C drive, on the SSD, so they can start up very quickly, especially games that have problems with loading times. Fuck you, loading time games that suck, right? Fuck you. But
what games?
There are a lot of single-player FPS. Actually, I organized all my Steam games into categories, and I noticed that I have a lot of single-player FPSs, mostly due to the id Complete Pack.
Yep. That, and I've been playing Bad Company, which has a little bit of loading time, but not that much.
But anyway, you got SSD going on.
Not for that.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so the thing is, I do, the Steam games I play often, I want to leave on the SSD. But the Steam games that I might want to have installed, but I play rarely, but take up a lot of space, I would like to move those to a different drive.
So you want to have some games on the SSD, but not all games.
That is, and that is a difficult thing to manage, right? You'd have to constantly be making sim links, and you might want to move games back and forth. You might be, basically, it's like going back to the DOS days where you had to delete a game to install a game. Fuck that. Somebody made this amazing program. They actually posted it on the internet April 2nd, 2010. I don't know if there's a newer version or if this even needs a newer version. It might just work.
Well, I mean, it already can just scrape your credit card and passwords and send it to the Nigerian scammers.
I have yet to test this out, but it's a program called Steam Mover, right? What Steam Mover does, you open it up, and you tell it where your Steam folder is, and it shows you a list of all your Steam games. And you give it a destination, which is the alternate location for Steam games. So you tell it basically, my Steam games are in /program files /Steam /sitemaps /common. And I would like to put some Steam games, that's my SSD on the left, right? I would like to put some of the games that I don't play so often on d:/Steam, which is the spare Steam folder. Okay? Then, next to every Steam game in the list is a blue arrow. You click the blue arrow, it moves it to the other drive. You click the blue arrow again, it moves it back where it came from. Steam doesn't know the difference.
Not too shabby.
That is pretty amazing right there. And best of all, it has a built-in sort of show me your moves command where you can say, I want to run the commands myself, and it will show you the Windows command line of what it's doing. It basically uses xcopy, rd, and make link to move and symlink things back and forth.
Oh shit! You know what I realized?
So it will actually.
Scott, you realize a lot of our listeners are probably just amazed at the fact that you can make links in Windows.
I know, right? But yeah, it shows you on the command line what it's doing, so you can actually do it yourself.
You realize, kids, you
don't like
you
what
can
it's
mount
doing.
stuff on top of stuff in Windows the same way you do in Linux.
In new Windows, if all your drives are NTFS, that's the only thing in this. All of your drives involved have to be NTFS partitions.
It's fine.
It is fine.
I no longer bother with the whole dual boot to have the one
Let's get
drive.
VirtualBox.
Yeah.
There's no reason. It won't work with FAT32, blah, 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 blah. It can only relocate folders, not individual files. So Steam does have some really big files in it, like GCF files that are in the Steam apps folder itself that aren't actually part of a game's folder. And you can't move those. But it's like, well, I mean, come on, right? You can leave those there. It's fine. But yeah, Steam Mover is my thing of the day. You should check it out if you have the SSD that's not so big.
So, in the meta moment, the book club book that we just finished that we'll do a show on shortly in its separate non-Thursday episode stream with a new RSS feed and everything was Isaac Asimov's Foundation, which we should have done a show on Thursday, but I hadn't finished it in time because I was busy.
Rim fail.
Yeah, but I finished it.
Just let it be on the record.
Yeah, I got stuff to say about
That's
it.
the double fail. You failed twice.
I got quite a lot to say about it.
Right.
When
do you want to do this show on it?
I don't know. Maybe not tonight. I'm kind of want to cook my dinner.
All right.
We could do it Wednesday.
Or maybe we're doing another show. We're doing 2 shows Wednesday.
Yeah,
then?
or we could do it over the weekend. I'm sure we can find time. We
You
got
just keep delaying this, mother, don't you?
I'm ready. It just you want to do it right after this?
I'll do it whenever. I'm ready anytime.
We'll do it Wednesday right after we do that show on something or other.
Uh-huh.
The Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle. We will be at it doing stuff.
Nice.
Stay tuned. Kineticon is past and done. Next year's Kineticon, many of you have already contacted us asking about what it'll take to join our personal panels and workshops department. I will get back to all of you because I do, in fact, need you. The Game Katsu people came out of the woodwork and were like, hey, guys.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Just so people know, New York Comic-Con / New York Anime Festival, October 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Oh, shit. We should be there doing stuff, too.
Yeah, that will be about a month and a half after PAX. So that is coming up. Do not forget it.
Yeah, that'll hold us over until the next PAX East. We will be doing a bunch of shit.
I do not recommend doing this, but I feel it is my service to share this information. New York Comic-Con, we like the conventions that have one price, period, right? So PAX, you buy a badge, it's a badge. Every badge is a badge, end of story. You can go to anything with the badge as long as it's, for that day, right? Gen Con we don't like because they have individual ticketing for individual events. So if you want to play, you buy a badge, you get into Gen Con, and then you want to play in a game, you got to buy a ticket for that. And then
there's the middle of the road system some gaming cons do that's okay, where you get your badge and it comes with X tickets. That's all anyone can get.
That's an okay system.
Because that's just to allocate these scarce resources of game
I don't like
masters.
paying for more things once you're in the convention or having people have more or less privileges based on spending money, right? So New York Comic-Con is against that philosophy. They sell fancy VIP badges for a lot of money, and those badges get you swag, and they let you cut lines, and they let you see famous people, and all that kind of bullshit. And I'm not a fan, so do not buy these. But I have to tell you, they're going to be sold out for this Comic-Con very soon. And also, San Diego Comic-Con is this week?
Yeah,
it's incredibly soon.
Otacon's coming up, not that we'll be there, but...
Yeah, so let's see. San Diego Comic-Con, Comic-Con International, right, is July 21 through 24, so this weekend.
Oh, shit.
And Otakon, I believe, is the weekend after that, July 29 through 31st. It's convention season, and the 2 biggest conventions, East and West, we're not going to be there.
Yep. Well, we won't be at Otakon because they don't like us anymore, but if you are there...
We still like you, Otakon, except for your treating of us, that doesn't mean we don't want to come.
We offered to do panels, and I kind of miss going to Otakon, but...
I'll go. Just
if you go to Otakon...
treating me badly.
Go see Makoto Shinkai's stuff.
It's like having a girlfriend who's hot, and you like her, but she beats you, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's like, well, I'm not gonna hang out with you while you beat me, but if you stop beating me, I'd come back. Jesus
but she
Christ.
does it surreptitiously. It's behind your back, she doesn't answer your calls, and then you go to bed and you wake up with a bruise. You're like, what?
Exactly. That's Otakon. So
But
Otakon, if you cut that shit out, we'll come back.
If you were going to Otakon, go see Makoto Shinkai's panels. Not enough people go see the actual creators. I mean, we were in Anime Next a long time ago, and they just happened to have Rintaro. We're like, holy shit, it's Rintaro.
Yeah.
And the room was a quarter full, and everyone was kind of sitting in there. He took questions, no one really had any questions for him. It was sad.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
He seemed kind of happy, though.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever. Anyway. Actual show topic.
Yeah, show topic. So, there was a story. One of those things that, would piss Rim off. I have a whole, feed of things that piss me off.
Well, I mean, you must add 10 a day just reading FARC.
Oh, my God. The thing is, it also makes me happy.
That's why I don't read FARC.
Because much of FARC is the story of people getting what they deserve.
That's true.
You try to rob someplace, and you got hit in the nuts. So anyway, this guy, John H. Gass.
His name is Gas? This child must have been great.
He lives in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And he got his driver's license revoked. Took him 2 weeks almost to get it back.
Wait, was it revoked because he was driving shittily?
He's never had a ticket.
Oh, what the fuck?
It was revoked automatically. He received a letter saying that it was revoked, and it wouldn't even say why.
Mm-hmm.
So he, not being able to drive, had to go to the DMV and I guess whatever they call it in Massachusetts, and do an inquiry and everything. And eventually he found out that the reason his driver's license was revoked was that an anti-terrorism facial recognition program that the state is running scanned a database of every picture of every driver's license and determined that he was likely a fraudulent driver's license and a fake person copied from someone else's driver's license. But he's a real dude.
Mm-hmm.
And
so how did he find out that his license was revoked?
They sent him a letter.
Okay.
So imagine one day
but
you
if
get
it
a
was
letter.
a fake license in the database, why would they send a letter to the fake address?
Also, why don't they send the police to arrest the scammer?
I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
So digging into this article more and more, here's the gist of it. Governments are using this very powerful technology, which I'm going to call facial recognition. It does exactly what you think it does. It's been around
Britain,
for a long time.
UK's been using it for years and years and years. And
It's been around for a long time. Dude, my camera, the camera we use to film like our Geeknights stuff and our Radio Free Equestria and all that, it has really good facial recognition. I programmed in everyone in the crew, and it just shows me their names in the viewfinder when it sees their faces. When I'm recording, when I'm playing back, I can look at tags and see who was in what scene when. It'll even take a picture anytime anyone on my smile list smiles on camera while I'm recording.
Yep.
This stuff is already pretty consumer grade, and governments are using it for a lot of stuff. Facebook, Google, everyone's going to be using it.
Well, we've been using it. It's not new.
We're going to be using it like it's getting to the tipping point of super ubiquity.
It's been in iPhoto for a version or two. It's
Yep.
been, it's on every, it's.
But we're getting to the point of super cross-linking. I mean, right now, Facebook, still a lot of times, you only show up in that embarrassing picture tag because someone tagged you in it.
That's true.
Imagine if Facebook just did facial recognition and every face it could figure out, it just auto-tagged.
Yeah, but it would get some wrong, right? So, and the problem is, if someone tags you in a photo, you can now see that photo. So what if I had a private photo of me naked, and then it saw some other guy who looked like me, it automatically tagged, because I wouldn't tag this private photo. What's the purpose of that, right? I'm just using Facebook to store the photo. And then it tags my face as this other guy, and then now he can see my naked photo.
Well, can he? I don't know how it works. I don't have Facebook.
If I tag you in a photo, you
But
can
how would he know to tag you in a private photo?
No, it automatically tags if the facial recognition.
So obviously, unless they're idiots, it doesn't auto-tag private photos.
I'm just saying, things like that are potential.
But my point was that even if you've got, say, a 99% success rate, that means that 1 out of 100 photos is going to be mistagged.
That's true.
And if we've got governments like Massachusetts using this to deny people's like actual civic services, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So this made me think a lot about facial recognition because I realized that I am mostly way for ubiquitous facial recognition and even ubiquitous surveillance as long as it's relatively open.
Well, yeah, that's the major thing, right? So the UK has had facial recognition on security cameras, for a long time. Basically, they have a huge system where they put cameras all over the fucking place. More so than probably almost any country.
V for Vendetta style.
Yes, exactly. That's what they have. And they have a huge database of faces. And what they do is if you're walking down the street and your face is caught in a camera, they got a ton of computers that are going to look you up, and especially comparing you to like the wanted felons list. So if the FBI's most wanted walks down the street in London and a camera sees him, it sets off a light somewhere where the people are watching, and they'll go pick you up. That's what they do.
Theoretically.
Yeah, but they actually do it.
Yeah, but how often does it work? How often do they actually respond? How many false positives? We don't know any of that.
We don't know any of that, but they definitely have this system. And you know what? I'm actually in favor of that kind of system as long as A, the cameras are only in public places, right? So you can't put a camera in someone's house. That's just stupid, right? And B, you can't keep that video footage private, right? That video footage needs to be publicly accessible, and there's no reason it couldn't be publicly accessible immediately. I should be able to go and see a live view of whatever the camera outside my house is looking at. Or if I know there's a camera in London outside Big Ben, I should be able to go online, click on that camera, and see what it sees in my web browser.
So
I should be able to go through the entire archives and see what it saw, because maybe, there's a Rodney King caught on that tape, and I don't want the government destroying it. That needs to be a publicly accessible video.
So arguments against that, not saying I agree with them, would be that one, makes it trivial to stalk people.
If people are in public places and I'm not physically chasing them, I'm just watching them on cameras to stalk them, that's actually better, because stalker's going to stalk.
To start, but imagine
Stalker's going to stalk.
Imagine this.
Right? I mean...
I'm just saying, imagine this. I'm just putting forth an idea. If we combine the ubiquitous cameras which still require a lot of paying attention, with ubiquitous and accurate facial recognition, I can auto-stalk and then just have a database where eventually I'll know pretty reliably where someone who has reasonably consistent habits will be.
If you're a stalker, you can know that anyway.
Yeah, but you might see if you're a stalker, you have to go out and do the legwork. So there's odds that someone will notice you. You know, the creepy guys.
The thing is, I'm not
around.
saying that the facial recognition data and system has to be publicly accessible. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I'm saying it
that
doesn't
the
matter.
video footage has to be publicly
And I'm
accessible.
saying that if the video footage is accessible, then it will have 100% facial recognition coverage because private people will have access to almost as good software.
Maybe, because
It'll happen. It'll definitely happen. I guarantee to you. I mean, already I think Picasa has a thing that'll like tag people in your photos.
Well, that's iPhoto does. Yeah, a lot of them do that. It's mostly those are just for organization of photos.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that within a decade, if not sooner, people will have those capabilities for any video they have access to.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, what if YouTube did it? I personally would love it if I could go to YouTube and say, here's a picture of me, find any other YouTube videos that have me in them.
That'd be awesome.
But at the same
Or you
time...
could take a picture of a person on the street with your phone and then get a list of all the YouTube videos they're in and Flickr photos they're in and Facebook photos all aggregated. Oh, shit, I should make that.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome?
If I made an app that did that, I would make so much monies.
Now, my take on all this is that I agree there are societal problems that would come about in this future. I also argue that this future is inevitable, and we'd better deal with it now rather than later.
Yeah, I think that's something we say
if we
often.
deal with it now when it's not yet 100% ubiquitous, if we figure out as a society how
unlike
to deal
every
with it,
other problem which we fail to deal with.
yeah, we always wait until the last second.
No,
Like,
we wait until 10 years after the last second.
oh, we have an economy based almost entirely on intellectual property that is trivially stolen untraceably? How long have people been able to do this? 20 years?
Good job, guys. Yeah, but it's we've said this a lot of times. Is that the government always goes to deal with some sort of new situation that is being brought about by technology well after it has been brought about, even though everyone saw it coming. Right? And the technology is inevitable, right? A lot of times they try to fight the technology itself after the fact that it's already out there in the wild. Then they try to just ban it. They're like, oh shit, this technology is a problem for us. Now that it exists, let's ban it. It's like, well, no, what you have to do is you have to accept the technology because you can't fight it. It's unbeatable. It's like trying to slay the dragon.
Is there not an example in Foundation of a nation that forgot how to use nuclear power and had an accident and banned nuclear power because it was too dangerous?
Exactly.
It didn't turn out so well for them.
Not at all, right? What you have to do is instead accept that the technology is going to be there, and instead change the things you can change. Remember, technology is science. It's just the rules of the world. You can't fight the law of physics, right? We don't know how to do that yet. Maybe we'll figure that out one day. Not yet, right? But society, government, law, politics, these are completely artificial constructs just created by humans on paper. They're just words on paper.
This is why I'm amazed.
They're not laws of the universe.
I am so amazed when people argue like strict constructionism of the U.S. Constitution, or anyone who even bothers to debate the intention of the Founding Fathers.
Right, it's like the
intention of a guy a couple hundred years ago in terms of what he thought gun laws should be is irrelevant to the modern world of guns.
The laws of thermodynamics can't change them. Right? Constitution, just a piece of paper. We can make the rules whatever we fucking want them to be. Right? So we should, we accept that we can't change the law of thermodynamics, and instead we need to change the things we can change in our society to accept those facts of the laws of thermodynamics.
How the people who...
As opposed to trying to butt heads with them, because then you're just asking for trouble.
Funny how the people who most feel that the Constitution isn't just a piece of paper and that it has some sort of mystical power and that the Founding Fathers were some sort of like God Emperor kings enlightened among the masses who made everything perfect and foresaw every possible consequence of technology are the same people who kind of don't believe in a lot of the fundamental laws of the universe. Funny that.
Funny.
But... government is impotent to deal with this. I'm not even going to pretend. So
what's government not impotent to deal with?
I
know one thing.
Government's really good at maintaining a general status quo for a long period of time.
I know one thing the government is exceptionally good at.
Wasting money?
If there was a military invasion They would be really good at fending that off.
Not always, though. Historically, a lot of government... I mean, read up on the Crimean War.
I said the U.S. government. Right now, if someone tried to invade the U.S. today,
we'd have that shit down.
They have that shit. I'm not saying about all governments over all history. I'm saying the U.S. government today, if somebody tried to invade us 1812 style, they know what to do.
Yep.
They wouldn't even have to think about it. There wouldn't even be really a debate. They would just go.
But anyway, I argue
and
that
there isn't anyone who could do a better job.
We agree that government cannot address the problems that society is going to face with facial recognition.
No.
Because you can't ban it. Everyone will have access to it. Eventually, homeless bum with a track phone, that track phone has facial recognition.
And the government already has clearly shown, as per your FARC article, that they will clumsily try to use it.
Clumsily? I think it's one step further. That's like an akimbo ham fist. It's like a man who's genetically engineered to have two hands that are, in fact, hams.
Okay.
They are ham fists.
I amend my statement. They will derpily try to use the technology that they cannot control.
Not quite herp-to-derpily, because herp-to-derpily would have meant that this database crashed and destroyed all the driver's licenses.
And then they're going to get in the guillotine?
That's kind of inside baseball there.
Vive le roi.
Vive le roi. Emily and I went to this fancy French restaurant and we were partying during Bastille
You should have
Week.
said vive le roi.
One, the people in the restaurant are wearing the tricolor. Obviously Republican, possibly Jacobins. And they are drunk and singing with us, and they keep giving us alcohol and screaming things in French, and they got us up and made us dance around, and they're pulling people in from the street and kissing them, and it wasn't even Bastille Day yet. It was before Bastille Day. This is the pre-Bastille Day celebration.
No, come on.
So I really, really had to resist the urge to be like, Vive le roi! Right after they sang the Marseillaise. I really wanted to do it.
You should have done it.
They might have just killed me.
Why would they? Wouldn't have killed you.
Scott, they are clearly Jacobins. They had the tricolor pins on them.
So? They're not going to murder you.
They might. That's what the mobs did. They also they had funny dishes named
200
after
years
Robespierre.
ago.
So anyway... To get back to my point, which I kind of forgot what it was. Okay, government can't deal with this shit.
Le Roi wants to use facial recognition to detect the derps.
So I think the best way to handle this is for some enterprising individual or company, maybe Google, maybe Facebook, though Facebook would derp it too because Facebook's getting derpier and derpier. You saw how they tried to ban Google Plus ads in Facebook?
I don't get it.
It's if we don't tell them about Google Plus, they won't know it exists.
Sure.
They won't leave.
Okay. Good. You know what Facebook really needs to do if they want to fight Google? They should just make Facebook email. To fight Gmail, because even people who are using Facebook are also using Gmail. But even if they're more heavily a Facebook person, they check their email and Gmail, and then they go to Facebook for the rest of the day, and they only go
Facebook
to Gmail
chat
and check
crashes,
their mail.
so they still chat in Gtalk even though they're on Facebook.
Right. It's if they just had the Facebook chat work and they also made Facebook email, they could get people completely off of Google.
I don't think they would. It's too late.
I know it's too late. They're not going to be able to do it, but they should.
But someone, either Google or Facebook or just some nerd, like you said, just put it together yourself. Make the app where you take a picture of someone and it finds everything about them in the world. Stalker. Just call it Stalker. Because once you make the technology, you've opened Pandora's box. They can't close it.
Apple could ban it from the App Store.
Yeah, and then you know what they're basically doing?
Jailbreak.
No, I'm going to go back to an old analogy. If you outlaw guns...
But the thing is, here's the thing. As of today, if you were going to set that up, the way you would have to make it architecturally is the same way that Google does their voice recognition on their keyboard, is where someone takes the picture, the photo is sent to your data center where it's processed, and then the results are sent back asynchronously to the client. And that's today. So if you set that up today, you could be shut down because you would be required just by the laws of technology to have a centralized location. In order to make this, be able to stand up against someone trying to shut you down.
It's got to be local.
It has to be at the point at where the cell phone, or maybe you can plug it into your laptop or something, has enough horsepower
here's
and
where it'll really
enough
happen.
storage to hold the database just on your person.
Well, this is where I see the real future of personal computing. Remember your idea, and a few technologists agree with us, of everyone should have their own personal cloud.
That's what I hope should be the result.
Because then I have my phone connects to my cloud interfaces with other clouds, but I can shut that shit off if I need to.
This is something that is not a new idea, right? There's a thing called FOF, friend of a friend. It's an XML schema.
Yep.
I know XML schemas are kind of blah these days, but the way FOF works...
there was a time when XML was the hot shit.
The way FOF works, you should look it up, is that you made an XML document that was basically your social network profile. And there were all these different extensions you could add to it. So anytime, it would start off with just like name, address, whatever. And let's say you wanted to add in like movie ratings. Well, there was an extension, and it's like, well, this is how you add movie ratings to your, in XML. And this is how you add, comments. And this is how you add, hearts and all. You could basically add anything to it in all these different XML things.
Imagine
right?
like a super extensible modern version of the old like nerd tags people would put
think
on
of
their
it
posts.
writing a Facebook profile in XML, and you could just add anything you could come up with that you might want to be in your profile to it, as long as you...
Favorite pony? Rainbow Dash.
Exactly. You could add a pony section. You could add, a graffiti wall. Right? So, and the idea was that you would host your FOF file on your website, and you would have links in your FOF file to other FOF files. So if I put my FOF XML file at apreche.net/fof.xml, in it would be, in the friends section, there would be a link. It would say friend rim, FOF location, rim.frontrecruit.com/fof.xml, and Rim would host his fof.xml file at that location. So now everyone has their own web server hosting their own profiles, but they're all linked to each other, so you could still make, on top of that, a social networking app like Facebook, even though there's no central server. Everyone is just hosting their own profile on their own server. So, also Jabber, right? So GChat is Jabber, but it's centralized. But the idea of Jabber is federated chat. So everyone would have their own chat server, right? So we could have frontrecruit.com chat server, and then you would have users would have accounts on your chat server, and you would chat with other servers. So instead of there just being one chat server like there is with, say, AOL, AIM, there's one server, it's AIM. Everyone would have their own chat server, and if you chatted with other people on the same server as you, those chats wouldn't go over the internet. They would just stay on that server. So if I was chatting with Rim on the frontrecruit.com server, all our chats would be there, and they wouldn't go anywhere else. So no one could spy on us. But if I wanted to chat with someone who has GChat, then my server knows how to talk to GChat because they both speak Jabber, and the servers, I would talk to my server, he would talk to the GChat server, and then the GChat server would talk to my server and send the chats back and forth. And that's Federation. Identica, which we used for a while, also known as Laconica, also known as, I don't know what, status.net is what they're calling it these days, is basically a Twitter that uses this architecture, where everyone has their own Twitter server, but then all the different Twitter servers know how to talk to each other. So you can just tweet, and then the tweet will only go on your server, but if someone on another server is following you, then your server knows to send your tweets to that server because you have a follower on it. But if there's a server out there you don't have any followers, it's not going to send your tweet to that one. It's only going to send your tweets to the ones it needs to send it to. And so the ultimate goal here is that we can take down Facebook and Google and all these places, and we could all have, everyone could have a server in their house, and Microsoft is actually leading the way on this with Windows Home Server.
Actually, though, with Google, we wouldn't have to take Google down. They could very easily they have a cloud that has its own services.
I mean, yes, of course, there's still room for these companies to exist and do things and provide many services, but the point is you would have your own server in your own house. You would put your photos and your videos and all your personal things on your own server, which is completely 100% under your control. You would decide what goes out and what goes in, and if you needed to share with, say, your mom, who has her own server in her house, you would just say, share my photos with my mom, her server's over there, and then when she wanted to look at your photos, your server would send its photos to her server where she could look at them.
Obviously, that's a high level, because the physical reality is you would need multiple locations for safety of data.
Obviously, there's a lot of things going on there, but the reason that we can't have this nice thing right now mostly is because ISPs are dickwads.
Yep.
And if IPv6 comes around,
well, the
we
internet,
can have this.
It's only relatively recently that a lot of people are doing two-way communication on the internet of any size.
Well, no, we actually were doing more
Scott,
of it in the
of any size, like large quantities of data. In the early days, yes, they were, because you couldn't send much data anyway. It was just two-way communication. As bandwidth grew, notice how when cable modems came and everything, bandwidth only grew downstream for a long time.
It did.
Because and I'm not going to say conspiracy or anything, but very obviously, media companies and technology companies and many companies do not really like the idea of people being their own publishers and their own distributors in addition to consuming data on the internet.
Yeah, the internet is a web. I can send things directly from my computer to RIM. But if you've noticed, whenever anyone's tried to set up networks with that structure, right, they've always been fought against by the man, right?
Yeah, my idea of
They
Web
took
3.0.
down Napster. They fought, BitTorrent is pretty much the only surviving, peer-to-peer structured thing.
Now imagine a BitTorrent-like thing for a web browser. Imagine if
I mean,
every
when
web
peop-
browser was also a web server, and you were publishing your
That's
shit directly.
Opera's trying to do that.
I know, and that's what I would say Web 3.0 is.
But, the thing is,
We got way off topic here.
I don't know. So?
That's fine. We've been a while. We can
That's
wrap this
actually a
up
better
soon.
topic that, it's like we didn't have that show idea, but that would have been a great show idea if we would have just started with that.
Well, I guess we got two topics we talked about.
I guess.
Since we're at the end, though, I want facial recognition for a few very specific things. I want to be able to just walk home and the camera on my door lets me in.
I don't know how much I would trust that, but that's okay. In case you
I
forget
trust it if it got to the point where it was trustable. Or better, if my door still
That'd be
had a
okay
lock.
if it was just another factor in a multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, or if my door still had, however it locked, but the doorman, I could give him a list of people who when they walk in, it shows a little like on his screen, it shows green, like, okay, going to Rim's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So then he doesn't have to bother them. But yet someone I haven't put on the list, it's like yellow, don't know. When he
Well,
questions the
you
guy.
could make face just one of 2 or 3 factors, and it could be a password you say. Imagine if you walked up to your door and it saw your face and you said "Open Sesame" and you had a thing, right? Some sort of card swipe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the saying not so great because people can hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's true. But just saying, that's an idea.
Yeah, it is an
right?
idea.
A multi-factor door opener, and then what you could do is you could if everyone let's say everyone had a card, it was a hotel, right? I could come over to your house, and I have a card that I used to open my house. So I could swipe the card at your house, and you could say this card is allowed to open my house. Now no one.
I could say
now no one has a set of keys anymore. Everyone has exactly one key card for the world, and you just add your company when you go to work. They add your key card to the company security system. So now you use your personal key card to go to work, and if they fire you, they remove you from it.
So if I had this sort of multipass, that would be the best thing ever. But imagine the potential. You say, all right, Scott, you're allowed to open my door up until 10 p.m. on weekdays.
Yeah, you could do that.
Not at night, though, because I'm sleeping, most likely.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, anyway. I also just I want to go to a search engine like Google, go to Google Images, upload a picture, and find me on the internet.
Google Goggles does it.
It does, kind of.
But not with... I took a picture...
took a picture of Adam, and wasn't it like that monkey that came back?
At Kineticon, I took a picture of at Nerd NYC board game night. Someone had a little tiny card game, but it was German, so I didn't know what the hell. I couldn't really understand what it said on the box. I took a picture of the box with my phone, Google Goggles, did a Google search, picked it up right away. Board Game Geek page showed up right, top result.
I want that to be a little bit further. I want to be able to search based on people. Like, I know who Rim is. I want to search for Rim and whatever it is I'm looking for and see if I find incriminating videos.
Incriminating videos.
Of course. What else is anyone going to search for?
I don't have incriminating videos, but, it'd be cool, if you're walking down and you see, you're at PAX, and you're like, I know this guy. Click, and it's like, oh, that guy. Or if someone were to take a picture of me, and then, they could find out my shit.
Yeah.
Or they could be watching a YouTube video, and they could see me in the YouTube video.
You click on you, and it goes to your website.
Click on me, and you click on my face, you highlight a box around it, and then it does a search for my face, even though they just saw me in a YouTube.
That's what I want, and that's going to happen. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.